For 17 centuries, there's been this version of Christ's story that was, well, buried. It's a cosmic journey so profound, the powers that be did everything they could to make sure you never heard it. So today, we're going to go on that journey and visualize a story that has been waiting in the dark for nearly 2,000 years. And where this all starts is, believe it or not, with a pretty surprising modern connection. Mel Gibson is making a $100 million sequel to The Passion of the Christ. But the way he describes it is strange. He talks about going into other realms, watching angels fall. He even called it an acid trip. I mean, it sounds bizarre, right? Almost unfilmable. So that begs the question, where in the world does a filmmaker get an idea like that? Well, it turns out Gibson's inspiration isn't some modern edgy script. It's a story that's been waiting, hidden, in one of the most remote places on Earth. See, what he's tapping into is an ancient narrative, one that was deliberately erased from the Western tradition we all know. The source for this incredible journey isn't something new, but a sacred text preserved against all odds. This story survived in a place that was, literally cut off from the rest of the world. A monastery carved into a cliff face in Ethiopia. It was so isolated, the only way in was to be hoisted up on a rope. And that incredible isolation, that's the only reason this story still exists today. And if you look at the Bibles, the difference in size kind of shows you just how much got cut. You've got the Ethiopian Bible with up to 88 books, and then the Protestant version with only 66. And those missing books, they aren't just minor footnotes, they're entire works, like the Book of Enoch and the Ascension of Isaiah, and they contain the exact story we're about to explore. Okay, so the Christ described in these rescued texts, he's a world away from the gentle teacher you see in most Western art. It's not even close. This is a figure of cosmic scale and immense power. Yeah, the contrast is pretty stark. On one hand, the Western tradition gave us this comforting, gentle teacher, right? But the Ethiopian texts, they describe a cosmic judge and warrior. We're talking eyes like blazing fire, a voice like rolling thunder. Look, one was designed to be approachable, to comfort you. The other was meant to inspire absolute, undeniable awe. All right, so let's get into the core of that journey. Because this isn't just a story about a baby in a manger. No. That's just the final stop. This is about an unbelievable, multidimensional descent from the highest source of all creation all the way down to our tiny world. So the sources, they literally map out this cosmic superhighway. It all starts with something called Lord Anu, which is described as a source point, get this, outside our entire multiverse. From there, this divine essence travels through what's called the cosmic heart, the very center of all existence. Then it passes through a galactic black hole, which acts as a kind of stargate. And finally, it comes through our own sun, the solar gate, to arrive in our solar system. And this is absolutely crucial. This was not a fall from grace. Not at all. It was more like a controlled, intentional, surgical process. You have to imagine the infinite deliberately compressing itself, squeezing down into the finite, basically stepping down its own vibration just so it could enter our reality. Okay, so after coming through our sun, the solar gate, the descent isn't over. It continues down through 7 distinct celestial realms, or what they called heavens. This is the final stage of concealment before he ever reaches Earth. And this whole process has a name, the veiling. You can think of it as a surgical act of self-concealment. At each of those 7 heavens, Christ would deliberately dim his own divine light, taking on the form of the beings there, so he could pass through completely unrecognized. And this concealment was so perfect, so complete, that by the time he actually arrived on Earth, even the lower-level angels who were supposedly watching over our world, they saw nothing but a human child. They had no idea what kind of cosmic presence was hiding in plain sight. And the details of the incarnation itself are also super specific. It had to be a very particular bloodline, this royal solar pharaoh line, which is connected all the way back to figures like Cleopatra and the goddess Isis. The arrival also had to happen on a specific day, what the sources called the day outside of time, July 25th, which apparently marked the end of a huge cosmic cycle. Okay, so all of this leads to the big critical question. If you have this story of a cosmic, all-powerful God descending to Earth, a story this profound, why on earth was it buried for 1,700 years? what was so dangerous about this vision of Christ and humanity, that it had to be systematically hunted down and erased? Well, the answer, as it so often does, has everything to do with power and control. It all comes down to this single, powerful, and apparently very dangerous idea from the Ethiopian texts. You are not children of dust, but are children of light. It's a simple sentence, but it's one that completely shatters the foundation of institutional religion as we know it. I mean, think about it. If divinity isn't some far-off thing that you need a priest to talk to for you, what if it's an awakening of the light that's already inside you? If that's true, well, then the entire need for a middleman just vanishes. You have to remember, the medieval church's entire power and financial structure was built on one single idea: that you are separate from God, that you need them. That separation is what justified mandatory tithes, it's what allowed them to sell indulgences, it justified payments for everything from baptism to burial. It made confession through a priest an absolute necessity. But if God is within you, that entire business model just goes up in smoke. And make no mistake, this suppression was deliberate. It was systematic. These texts weren't some obscure fringe thing. They were known and read for centuries. But then, in 363 AD, the Council of Laodicea officially gave them the thumbs down, which led to them being hunted down and burned. But miraculously, thanks to those monks on that cliffside, the story survived, just waiting in the dark to be rediscovered. And that just leaves you with one final, kind of provocative thought. If a version of Christ, this cosmic, this profound, could be successfully hidden from billions of people for 1,700 years, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other truths are out there, sitting in some remote monastery, just waiting to be found?